Welcome to the Digital Handshake Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Jorgensen. I am so pleased to be here with Dr. Jerry Chidester, or affectionately known as Dr. Chiddy from Salt Lake City, Utah. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, Scott. This is awesome.
Well, you know what? I got to tell you, I'm tickled to have you on the Digital Handshake Podcast. As I mentioned, every week we feature a new plastic surgeon. I love having kind of the young guns of plastic surgery.
Thank you. I'm flattered. Jeez.
I would definitely put you in that conversation, sir. You're crushing it. You just mentioned how you guys have your one flagship location there, but you're also expanding. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so we're in our current flagship location. We've been there for about a year and a half. We built out a facility that we love. We got our surgery center there. We have our medical spa and our clinic all together. We have 4 surgeons currently, about 100 employees. But now we're branching out. And this is kind of more of the vision that we have as a company. But this year we're opening 3 more locations. So we're actually opening our second location, our first satellite med spa, in end of this month, so end of March. And then we have 2 more locations within Utah, one more in northern Utah, one in southern Utah down by Zion's National Park, opening in August. And we've hired 4 more surgeons to help with that. So a lot of growth this year.
Tell us a little bit about the Utah plastic surgery market because I don't think our audience may know, but Utah is actually sort of it's a plastic surgery capital.
It really is. It's like this, like I said, if you're outside of Utah, you may not know that. But
Yeah.
if you look, it's always top 1 or 2 next to places like Miami, Florida, California, DC. It's up there, the highest per capita plastic surgeons in the country. And, interesting enough, and we see that, I think there's a lot of reasons why. And I kind of grew up there and went to high school and college there, and my wife's from there, my parents lived there. And so I get the kind of the dynamic there, but there really is a lot of young, healthy people. They're well educated. Median income is very high, and but not a lot of expendable income. So they focus on plastic surgery sometimes.
Well, it was always kind of fun because I used to work for Allergan. I also worked for Mentor on the breast implant business within plastic surgery. It's kind of where I cut my teeth in this industry. And I remember looking at the sales reports and seeing the state of Utah always at the top. It always, it was kind of chuckled.
Hasn't changed.
Hasn't changed. Well, let's switch gears a little bit. One of the questions I get when talking about you in particular is about, how did you build such an incredible social media following and, sort of this personality or persona?
Yeah, it's really weird because I think it's only been about 6 years. It was about 2020 when I started all of this, and right around COVID. And I think, I, at the time, was starting a brand new practice. It was Jerry Chidester, MD at the time. We had 6 employees and then myself. And I had time, we couldn't operate. And so I spent a lot of time doing virtual consultations, but I was really trying to leverage social media because I had time and I didn't have any other means to really build my name. I trained in California. So when I went back to Utah, I didn't have a presence there. And so I utilized social media. It was kind of like that great equalizer. I think that's for all young plastic surgeons. It's really something you can do. But I really did that. I tried to be educational in there and just showcase my personality. And it takes a minute to figure that out and to be truly yourself, because I think, we go through training and plastic surgery and just life in general. We're really afraid of what other people think of us. But I realized at one point, I was like, I don't care. I'm just going to be myself, and I'm going to put good work out there and be consistent and be happy. And it started just drawing people that were drawn to my personality and our practice.
100%. I kind of relate to that. Like, you got to get to that maturity point where you say, you know what, I don't care. I am who I am. And, love me or hate me, but this is who I am. And hopefully I connect with, sort of my audience and my patients. There's got to be a moment, I imagine, that trying different things, whether it's on social media or on our website or on our marketing, it's kind of like throwing things at a wall and hopefully it sticks, right? So
Yeah.
there's probably some things that you've done and it's gone viral. And you're like, how did that go viral? That just makes no sense. Anything jump to mind?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's certain things that unintentionally go viral, Actually, last week I had a patient. She's surprised she was getting a breast reduction. She walked in and she posted. I didn't even post it. I guess I didn't know they were recording me either. It was in the pre-op area. I was marking the patient and opened her gown to start marking, and she had googly eyes on her nipples, and they were, kind of moving. And I took a double take. I said, what am I looking at? And I started laughing just, naturally, because that was just so funny. And she starts giggling. And it went viral. It was like 5-6 million views, in a couple of days. So that was unintentional for sure. But there's definitely a lot of things I've tried, even in social media. It really is like throwing stuff to see what sticks on a wall. And definitely failed a lot when it comes to some of those things. You put money or effort into certain types of media or productions, they just don't work out.
Well, tell us about some. I mean, there's got to be one that kind of maybe come to mind where you kind of stepped on your tail a little bit and a little embarrassed, but it's kind of fun to look back and see the potholes, so to speak, is you've built this really cool social media, what I feel is, one of the best social media sort of destinations within plastic surgery.
Yeah, I think one thing early during COVID, actually, I was working with a group, and they were, would help me produce content. Is really interesting. A lot of different kinds of content. One thing I realized that did not work on a plastic surgeon's page was doing political content, and it actually wasn't even my politics that was being posted. It was through this group, and immediately it just polarized a lot of people, and that was never my intent because I didn't actually intend to post that, but it made me realize is even to this day, I very much have a lot of say in direction of my own page because truly is a reflection of me and my brand. And so I'm very much involved in my own Instagram. Now, when it comes to our business and all the pages, like I don't have time for that. But for my own thing, I really, try to cultivate that. And it's because I learned from that lesson.
You're an amazing marketer. Obviously a phenomenal surgeon, but you're almost just as talented as a marketer. Tell us a little bit about that. Like, how much time, because, that's kind of our most precious asset, right? Is our time. So you're obviously busy operating, you're running this, very large practice with your team there, and then, social media and the marketing and what have you. Like, where do you find the balance to achieve all this?
Still looking. No, just kidding. No, really. I think, I look at my priorities first. Like, what's the most important? Obviously, my family is my most important thing. And everything I do is for my, my wife, my kids. And then after that, it really comes to the business, making sure the business functions, make sure my staff is well taken care of and my patients, right? And so everything after that is kind of where it trickles in. And that's where, the marketing aspect and the stuff part of that comes in. I love to do it. So in the moments that I have that are downtime, I like to do that. But what I've tried to do over time is, yes, there's certain things I will for sure post about, but we have a social media marketer, we have a CMO, we have a marketing director. I have a couple different videographers to be up here, filming with Media PSC. I try to look for all the different avenues and opportunities for marketing and producing content that don't rely just on me to produce it.
Yeah.
And so I have gotten it down to where I'm curating just the things that I like to post, and everything else is done with my team.
I appreciate you saying yes, because you were a tremendous guest on our recent YouTube program here at Media PSC that we're a big fan of, is TBH breast implants.
Yeah, it's doing
And
really
it's
well.
been one of our best performing episodes in our first season. And we look forward to having you on future episodes. But, you know, again, you have it, right? So um, share a little bit with our audience about kind of the future, right? As we kind of look out over 2026, 2027, the next kind of 12 to 24 months, really two questions. One is within plastic surgery, what is piquing your interest? And then along those same lines, kind of more a little bit subset of that is within the marketing aspect of plastic surgery. Where do you see the future?
Yeah, so I think a lot about this actually. A lot of my time is spent trying to look ahead too, because I think if we're just walking, one step at a time, which is when I started my practice, that's what I was doing.
Right.
But as we get more comfortable and you trust the people around you, you start looking up over the horizon, you can start looking ahead. So the first thing I think a lot about is actually AI utilization in plastic surgery. Dr. Rourke and myself and Dr. Wigman, his fellow, we published a paper in ASJ just last month in February talking about AI utilization in before and after photography and the ethics around that. And I've just been fascinated by how we can use tools like AI to really augment what we do and improve it, not to replace it, because I think that's a big fear, right? People is that AI is going to replace surgeons or robots will replace us. And so we have to find a way to really take our skills that we have as humans and apply that so that we can stay relevant, right? But use AI at the same time. So I'm looking at ways. And so these are, how we contact and interact with patients, right? Educating patients ahead of time before they come into the practice utilizing AI, making sure we get enough data from patients, whether that's health data, all the data around patients' care to really improve our results and what we do and to be able to analyze that, because at the end of the day, we can get so much information, but if we don't know how to implement and use it, then it doesn't make any sense. So I think AI can really help us with that. There's times when I'm on the airplane, like coming here, I literally have Grok open, Claude open, Manus, and ChatGPT, and I'm running, ADHD in my mind is very satisfied, but I'm running four things at once because I'm working on contracts and business things. I'm working on patient care. I'm working on our portal or our cat. We have a plastics academy to train her in. So I think that's where AI is going. And then as I think of, the future and where does that look? And again, I think a lot of it relates to this because I think if we can offload ourselves as humans where a lot of that work can be done, prime example, my patient coordinator. If a lot of the work can be done by an AI assistant to get the information needed from the patient, educate them. When they come in, the patient comes in, now that time spent with the patient coordinator is vital human interaction time. It's not spent asking about health history. It's like, what is it that you want? What are your goals? And learning about the person. So there's much more human connection there in those small moments because, as surgeons and providers, we're getting busier and busier and busier. It's like medicine, we're just getting more crammed, less time. So how can we offload that so that the time we spend is meaningful? So that's where I think it's going. So I think you'll see AI be much more implemented in ways to help patients, but it's really going to help us as humans really have that touch with our patients.
Well, and I know that if there's going to be anyone that's going to figure that out, I suspect that you're definitely going to be one of the thought leaders that are probably going to be on the forefront of that initiative. No question. Again, I just think about, 2 years ago using Chat 2.0
Mm-hmm.
versus, I think we're at Chat 5.3,
Yeah.
and just the query and the results and sort of the quality, right, of the output is amazing. And I think all of us would agree that it's truly transforming how we conduct business, right? And even in our personal lives when we say, "Hey, what's the best restaurant when I go to Dallas?"
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And that's actually affecting, roles. I think many patients now are searching, who's the best plastic surgeon in Salt Lake City, Utah,
Sure. Yeah.
in chat, right? And hopefully, Dr. Chidester is gonna.
Maybe in the top 20.
Well, again, thank you so much for being on the Digital Handshake podcast with us today. It's been a pleasure. I want to thank our sponsors, Media PSE, for making this podcast available, and we look forward to seeing you on our next episode.